Thank you. I have a short presentation for about 10-15 minutes, and I'll just run through that. It's a brief introduction to logistics in India and what's changing in logistics, and a short introduction to delivery as well. And then I'm happy to take questions if there are any. So logistics in India, as you're aware, India is a massive economy, but logistics in India actually is a very strange market. Unlike every other large economy around the world, India has historically been heavily underserved from a logistics and warehousing standpoint. If you look at it, the Indian economy is about 1/8 the size of the US economy, about 1/8 the size of the Chinese economy. But in US, as an example, you've heard of the largest logistics companies, the likes of a FedEx or a UPS, which between the two of them are over 200 billion in market cap. In China, if you look at the last 10 years with the growth of e-commerce, with the growth of manufacturing and export, there are 7 large Chinese logistics companies, each of which is larger than 15 billion in revenues. In India, when we started delivery in 2012, in a $200 billion economy, the largest logistics company in India was $400 million in revenues. And today, even with us being the largest player in this space, with nearly $1 billion in revenue, we are less than 1% of the overall Indian logistics market size. This has been driven fundamentally by a couple of things. The first, obviously, is it's been a historically unorganized blue-collar sector. Regulation hasn't historically been favorable in the absence of GST towards building large logistics infrastructure. Indian logistics companies have historically not invested in building high-quality infrastructure, equipping it with technology. There have been inefficient customers on the other side as well, small-scale customers buying from small-scale logistics companies. And of course, India's perennial problem with skilling. The good news for all of you, and I presume why you're here is because all of this is changing very, very rapidly. There are very, very big factors that are influencing sort of this entire change in the Indian landscape for logistics and warehousing. The first, obviously, is a massive shift from unorganized and smaller players towards larger, organized, national-scale players. The infrastructure of the kind that you saw, our facility in Bhiwandi, is nearly about 650,000 square feet under one roof and services close to about 4,000 46-foot container trucks on a daily basis going in and out of the facility. So essentially transacting one truck every 2 minutes. This is, in some senses, as large and as complex as running an airport, an international airport anywhere in the world. The other, obviously, is a massive shift towards higher speed transportation and a massive shift from classical go-downs, which are these grade C and grade D kind of warehousing infrastructure, towards large grade A warehousing fulfillment centers. The other big shift, of course, is with e-commerce. As many of you would be aware in the warehousing space, players like Delhivery, but also from a principal standpoint, the likes of a Flipkart, the likes of an Amazon, today are among the largest buyers of warehousing infrastructure across the country. And with digitization of the supply chain, with the need for more flexibility, more speed, and more customization, people are moving outside the major cities, which is just Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore, and building warehousing and transportation infrastructure across the country. I'll give you a snapshot of where we are as an example in a couple of slides. The other, of course, is support from the government itself. There have been rapid changes in rail, road, and air infrastructure. And all of this at the back end requires you to build massive investments in warehousing, massive investments in automation. And finally, of course, the availability and adoption of technology. We ourselves are investors in India's largest automation company. Warehousing and automation go hand in hand across the rest of the world and in India as well, and a massive improvement in skilling. So this is the broad context within which we started delivery. The market is large. India spends about $140 billion a year on logistics overall. Of that, nearly 40 billion is spent on warehousing, 100 billion on transportation, historically underserved market, small players growing into a big market, organizing rapidly, and that's the reason we started delivery. The idea behind delivery and the idea behind all 3PLs is very simple. We form what is called the operating system for commerce, which means we figure out how to help buyers and sellers transact with each other in the physical world, which could be companies transacting with companies, businesses with businesses, businesses with consumers, or consumers with consumers. To give you a snapshot of our size, we do about 2,200 crores of revenue a quarter. We're a publicly listed company. We've delivered about 2.7 billion parcels. I'm pretty sure we've delivered to everybody who's there over here, and hopefully most of the time on time. We deliver about 350,000 tons of freight every quarter. The most important thing for you, of course, is the figure at the bottom left, which is we own and operate about 19.2 million square feet of infrastructure across the country. This includes grade A warehousing and fulfillment centers where we stock goods on behalf of our customers and ship them out. Transportation infrastructure, which includes hubs, sortation centers, which are where you saw the trucks docking as an example, and about 4,000 distribution points across 18,500 or 18,675 pin codes, which means the entire length and breadth of India. And obviously a fleet size of 13,000 vehicles with 63,000 people. And we are 1% of the market. So that itself should give you a sense of how large this market already is and how large it's likely to become in the future. This is a quick snapshot of what our footprint is. Historically in India, people have always focused on building grade A infrastructure in the major cities, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, in Bhiwandi, for example, or in Manesar, or in Taudu, or in Bangalore at Nelamangala. But if you look at our footprint today, you'll find a lot of non-traditional locations. So Delhivery, as an example, today runs 59 gigantic hubs, the smallest of which will be about 100,000 square feet, the largest of which will be about 600,000 square feet, across these 59 locations, which include completely non-traditional places, for example, like, for instance, Jammu, or for instance, at this point in time, we're looking for a large hub in Silchar, we're looking for a large hub in Aizawl. So the opportunity for warehousing, the opportunity for all of you really is truly a pan-India opportunity and not one that's any longer limited only to a couple of cities or a couple of major manufacturing locations. So one of the things, I guess the point of this slide is to think of warehousing not just as pure warehousing or real estate space, but equivalently to engage with third-party companies, logistics companies, principals, to also help build transportation infrastructure, because actually the transportation industry is one of the largest buyers of warehousing space pan-India. As an example of the kind of companies, this is what we do, and all of these companies are your end buyers in the warehousing market. We provide express parcel delivery, which is your e-commerce delivery. We move heavy goods, which is things like consumer durables. We move freight, both part truck and full truck, which services manufacturers. We do warehousing on our own, which is leasing warehouses on anywhere from a 3-year lease all the way up to a 10-year lease across the country, and then providing that to principal customers. And then we also do international warehousing and transportation and technology services, and service a wide range of people across the country. The idea is very simple. As we grow and as third-party logistics grow, we build extremely high-quality, large-scale infrastructure that allows us to provide the lowest possible cost and the highest possible service to the customers that we have. And alongside that, we collect and process large amounts of data. The more data we collect, the more packages we deliver. The more packages we deliver, the more infrastructure we build. The more infrastructure we build, the more efficient we become, which ultimately allows us to continue to grow our business, and which in some senses, as end users for you, is where the big opportunity is. So with that, I'll pause. That's all I had from a deck standpoint. The broad conclusion that I think I'd like to leave you all with for today and as you think about warehousing is that the largest opportunity, I would argue, in real estate in India right now is in warehousing. It is in providing warehousing not just to the likes of a Unilever or a Procter & Gamble or a manufacturer or an ITC, but is really to provide it to logistics companies like Delhivery, and I believe there are others you will speak to today, as we build out both warehousing and FC infrastructure and transportation infrastructure for the future. The opportunity is truly pan-India. It's not just limited to a Delhi, Bombay, or Bangalore, but really to all of the major cities across all of the states of the country. And wish you all the best. Thank you. Are we doing questions or? Sure. The opportunity in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, actually, I would argue, is starting to become larger than the opportunity in the key metro cities, because a couple of reasons. One is that manufacturing is moving away from just the major metros. As an example, now Gujarat is becoming a major location for manufacturing. And so we're seeing opportunities to build large-scale infrastructure for us, for instance, in Ahmedabad and Surat, but we're also very large now in a city like Vapi. We're also very large in Rajkot. So we operate, for example, a 100,000 square foot warehouse in Rajkot. We operate a 200,000 square foot warehouse in Ahmedabad, a 300,000 square foot warehouse in Surat. And the same thing will hold, for example, in Ludhiana, or we're building a large facility now in a Kanpur or a Banaras. or even now in the Northeast. So I think essentially as manufacturing distributes across the country, what you will see is a massive shift in the warehousing and transportation infrastructure around the country as well. So huge opportunity for all of you who are not based in the 3 major cities. The tier 2 and tier 3 cities we think is where growth is going to get driven from. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sahil, for sharing that insightful journey through the evolution of delivery. We would also like to give you a small memento as a token of appreciation, and if you could just come back on this stage. And for that, doing the honor of the same, I would like to call Mr. Ravi Verma, Chairman, NAR India, on this stage. And can we also have you, Mr. Sahil, on this stage, please? Please join us this side. All right, can we please have the memento on this stage? All right, there she is. All right, everybody, please give a massive round of applause for Mr. Sahil for joining us today and gracing the stage with his wisdom with all of us. Thank you once again.